Welcome to the PCFP podcast, starring Ryan, Phil, Grant, and the host with the most, Hodge.
Hello and welcome to the Pub Corner Football Podcast. Today we will be speaking about the FA Cup final between Chelsea and Arsenal. So I'm going to start off with our special guest Trevor, who will now give me his result and reasons for such result.
Basically, I think Chelsea will win this game. The reason why I think that is because they want to do the double and they don't want to have a bad season. Well, it's not going to be a bad season anyway because they're going to win the league. But I think they want to put a statement so that next year, when the other teams want to do a comeback, there's nothing they can do because Chelsea are the ultimate champions in the English league. I don't really think Arsenal are going to step up their game. Arsenal are very on and off. You don't know which Arsenal team is going to turn up in the final, and that's a fact. If a very good, mentally focused Arsenal shows up, they will win. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think Chelsea are going to come into this game thinking about the double, trying to put a statement in the league so that when they come back next year, they're number one, guaranteed, no question. So I'd say Chelsea win 2-1 because I can see Arsenal scoring, but I can't see them winning it.
Very good point there, Trevor. And I'll just point out that is coming from an Arsenal fan, so that's how he feels. I'll move on now to the other end of the spectrum to a Chelsea fan. Grant, your result and reasons why.
Okay, being slightly biased here, I'm going to definitely go for a Chelsea win because the form is on our side, and as Trev pointed out, that Arsenal were a bit hot and cold at times. I'm probably going to go for a 3-1, same reasons. Our defence is not the best. Cahill just goes walkabout sometimes and he absolutely frustrates the hell out of me. But I just think that Hazard is just going to tear that up and be what he says he should be. He's one of the best players in this league and he's going to prove it at Wembley.
So, we'll move on now to Phil and we will go on with, he's got a few statistics for us, so we're going to move on to him and his result as well.
Well, from a neutral fan point of view, no doubt about it, Chelsea do deserve to win the FA Cup this season. I think they've been amazing. But obviously statistics in the last few years have proved that Arsenal have been the better team in the competition. Arsenal have won the FA Cup twice in the last 3 years, if I'm correct. However, with the way Arsenal have been playing lately, I'd go for a Chelsea win. However, after Arsenal, in my opinion, surprising Man City in the semi-finals, it could go either way. But could nerves get to players such as Hazard, etc., who, in my opinion, have been really good this season? Could it go to extra time? We don't know. My opinion, I'm going for a 3-1 Chelsea win. I think Chelsea could be too strong for Arsenal. I think Arsenal will go to the final and unfortunately come out on the losing side. But we've got a few statistics, between the two teams. This is the 190th meeting between the two. The first meeting was back in 1907 in the Football League. Chelsea were 2-1 winners. The last time these two teams met was back in February in the Premier League. Chelsea were 3-1 winners. Altogether, Arsenal have beaten Chelsea 73 times. Chelsea 62 times winning and have drawn 54 times. The biggest victory, biggest result was from Chelsea when they beat Arsenal by 6-0 back in 2014. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, who's the top scorer between these two teams from any generation? Is it Frank Lampard? Is it Gianfranco Solar? Is it Thierry Bergkamp? It's actually Didier Drogba with 13 goals. Arsenal, this is their 20th FA Cup final. For Chelsea, it's their 11th FA Cup final. Chelsea have won a total of 7, while Arsenal have won 12. Quite close statistics, really, when it gets to the amount of times they've won in the finals they've got to. So Arsenal do edge Chelsea there. Now, Arsenal's path to the final, they beat Preston North End away 2-1. And back-to-back 5-0 wins against Southampton and Sutton United, and then beating City after extra time by goals by Monreal and Sanchez. Chelsea beat Peterborough by 4-1, then beat Brentford by 4-0. Played Wolves by beat Wolves by 2-0, and then beat Man United by 1-0, and then in the semi-finals beating Tottenham Hotspur by 4-2, and what a tremendous goal by Matic.
Fantastic game.
So you have to say that both teams had quite equal opponents going into the FA Cup final.
Oh, yeah, well, Phil, sorry, I'm going to cut in there and say, did they have equal opponents? I don't really think Sutton and Lincoln are equal to anyone that Chelsea had, really. I've got to come out and say that. Because there's Lincoln in there as well, isn't there? Who they beat in the quarter-final, and, to be honest...
But the last time these two teams met in the FA Cup final was back in 2002, and Arsenal won by 2-0. Wade Parler and Freddie Lumberg. And just to finish it off, will John Terry in his final game be the man that lifts the trophy? Be interesting to see, or will he walk away from Chelsea as a loser?
He's definitely lifting the trophy, player or not. He's absolutely going to lift that trophy again.
We'll be getting a medal no matter what.
Moving on, Ryan, can we take your thoughts on the game and your result as to why?
Tough one. I think Arsenal can be a good side, and looking at the two teams that have dominated Chelsea this year in games, Spurs and Man United, they knew how to play against Chelsea. Suffocate them on the ball, and you will make Chelsea make mistakes. In the last 5 meetings, Arsenal have won two times. So it'd be an interesting statistic. With this new back three formation as well that they're playing, some players are shining. The Ox looks amazing as a right wing back. But it's Wembley. Chelsea, FA Cup final. Wembley, it's ridiculous, they always win. So, I would go Chelsea to win 1-0.
That's very good. Now, out of the four predictions we've just got there, we've got 4 Chelsea wins. We're going to go for the 5th prediction from me. I'm going to go for a Chelsea win as well, but I don't think it's going to be, as some people say, as dominant as people think it might be. I think it could probably go to extra time and maybe penalties. I think the game will be very nervy. I don't really want it. I think I've heard people predict that it could be a ball draw, which I don't really think. There's going to be goals. I'm thinking 2-2 after extra time and Chelsea win on penalties. I could be wrong. I might not be, But let's move on to the back of what Phil just said about the routes to the final. I do not believe that Arsenal have had the hardest run to the final.
We've had the easiest.
Yes,
Arsenal
I
have
don't
had
really.
the
Yeah,
easiest route to the
I
final
don't really
of all the
think.
teams.
City
game.
obviously was your hardest game,
Yeah.
but Sutton and Lincoln.
Yeah, they were poor. They weren't a bad run of form as well when we were playing Sutton and Lincoln. We were playing terrible. And we just picked off lower league sides because...
I do believe, I can't remember where I heard it from, it might have been on Arsenal Fan TV, that the only 2 games in March
that we won.
Arsenal won were against Lincoln and Sutton.
Yeah. But I think that you look on the back of that though, you can only beat what's put in front of you.
Yeah, this is true.
And I don't think Sutton played very bad against Arsenal.
Yeah, we struggled against them, to be fair. If we'd played any of the bigger teams before we got to the semi-finals, we would have been knocked out. Arsenal would not be in the final. But we got luck of the draw.
A big factor though could be Wenger. Could it be his last game?
Yeah.
If he says to the players before the last game, this is my last game.
But here's the problem: Wenger doesn't play those type of mind games with his players. Like every game he plays.
How do we know that?
Because ex-players talk about Wenger's ways. Wenger's ways are you go on the pitch and do what you can do. Wenger will never tell a player specifically what to do when they're on the pitch or motivate him in that kind of way. He just goes, "This is the team I'm going to put out. You do your best when you're on the pitch," and because he can't control that, which is frustrating.
See, I've been saying since the start of the season, when I was making my pre-season predictions, I actually come out and said that this would be Wenger's last season. I expected Arsenal to get top 4 as they usually do, but I just honestly thought it was time for Wenger to go, and I thought he'd be leaving under a much better cloud than he is now. My personal opinion, I reckon, if Arsenal win the FA Cup, then Wenger will get a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win it, there is a slim chance, there's still a chance, but a slim chance that he will walk away or even be told enough's enough now. The contract's over. We're not going to renew it, and they might send him upstairs to work on the accounts or be personal cheerleader.
I can't see Wenger going.
Yeah, see, exactly. I've got that same feeling. Like,
If he was going, he would have said by now.
I agree with that.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether they win the FA Cup or they don't win the FA Cup, Wenger knows his future already.
Yeah.
I believe there'll be at least one more season. Ferguson gave Man United a bit of notice that he was retiring.
But he knew he was going to win the title anyway.
But Arsene Wenger, I believe, will give a bit more longer notice to Arsenal. Even if Arsenal finish without Champions League football, which looks very likely. Obviously, in my opinion, Wenger should have left at the time that Arsenal on a high or not on low. But unfortunately, that's football life. People will hopefully remember Wenger for the success he's had at the club. He's made Arsenal into a fortress over the years. And win or not, he'll still be in charge next season. It'll be interesting what he can bring to Arsenal next season. Yes, he's liked his youth over the years, but maybe he needs to spend a bit more money and get some talent. Otherwise, the likes of Sanchez could be on the way out.
He's gone. Sanchez is gone.
Off the back of that, though, let's just talk a little bit about Arsenal in the league now. Sorry to do this, but they go and. I mean, to be fair, if they finish it, they're going to get Europa League anyway. Because if Chelsea win the FA Cup, they've won the league, so they've already got Champions League. So they're going to get Europa League anyway. Take it from someone who knows. You cannot attract players when you're playing in the Europa League. You can't, unless you are Man United and you pay over the odds for them.
Exactly.
Can I say, and this is something I really want to know. Does anyone here honestly think Arsene Wenger is a successful manager?
Yeah,
of course he is.
He's a
You
very
can't-
successful
History
man.
shows he
You can't
is.
deny what he's done.
Right,
But
tell me how many trophies he's won at a supposedly big team.
Like, big team. Wenger has won 3 Premier League titles. He's got 6 Premier Leagues. If he win, 6 FA Cups. If he wins the next FA Cup, he'll be the most FA Cup winning manager out of all of them.
Right.
That's a lot of trophies. You cannot.
So that's 9 trophies in how many seasons?
Yeah. Okay. Let's
20 years.
compare that with his first 8 years. He won 7 trophies. No, was it? Yeah. He won 3 Premier Leagues and 4. Yeah. He won 7 trophies in his first 8 years. And then the other half was moving to the Emirates, having to repay your debt, repay all your bills. So in that time, it was impossible for him to have the same success. So if you judge Wenger with his first 8 years, you get a trophy per season.
But
And
then,
then post that, you don't get that because of the stadium, because of the moves. So that's a big factor.
but then surely, if you know you're moving into this big stadium, do you not think right? This team isn't going to be good enough to win the title for the next couple of years.
Yeah,
I need to sign big players now.
But you can't
No, you
invest
can't
'cause you spend
sign
money
money
on the
you haven't got the
stadium.
money. You haven't got the money to sign those big players because all that money is going to paying off the stadium.
What, 2 or 3 years before?
No, because that's not how it worked. It's not how it worked. He had players there, so he signed. Fabregas was the player of the future. He signed him before we went to the Emirates. People like Flamini, they were meant to be for the future. Abu Dhabi, all those players were there, but because of how time changed, those players didn't really peak. People got injured. People didn't really gel together, and then you had our big players leaving to better clubs, and we couldn't afford to buy new players to back people like Fabregas up, to back people like Diaby up. That's the problem.
I'm sure seeing his length of surface shows how successful he has been as a manager. I mean, yes, we're going back some years, but it is difficult to go through 38 games in a league season and not unbeaten and not lose one game. That's incredible.
Yeah.
They've reached a Champions League final.
Mm-hmm.
Barcelona were in their prime back then. Unfortunately, that's the one trophy.
Got a red card.
Unfortunately, that's the one trophy he hasn't won while being Arsenal manager. In fact, I don't think he's won it at all in his career, has he?
He's never won it.
But look at how successful, right? Look at players like Thierry Henry.
Came from nowhere.
Wasn't he a winner back
He was
in the
a winner at
day?
Juventus. Wasn't
He-
even playing.
He failed to make an impact at Juventus.
Yeah.
So at Arsenal, we went, you know what? I'm going to make you a striker. And look at him. He's been magnificent.
Same thing with Van Persie. Van Persie was a winger, turned into a striker. One of the best strikers ever.
And we see with Theo Walcott. Okay,
Okay, yeah.
things ain't exactly up top for him, but Walcott wants to be a striker. Wenger's like, no,
No, you're not.
you're a winner to me. Last season, he missed out playing for England because he was too busy about being a striker. He's been playing on the win this season, and this has been one of his best seasons as Arsenal player. It's just like Wayne Rooney saying, I want to drop into midfield. Yeah, okay, when you get a bit older you drop back. But what's happened to him when he dropped into midfield? He's lost it. While being a striker, he could have been scoring prolific goals. And in that time dropping into midfield, younger players have come through the ranks and excelled.
So I don't think you can deny that Wenger is a great manager.
See, you're saying this, however, to me, okay, he's brought through a plethora of very decent young players. But for how many years have pundits, fans, neutral fans alike been saying Arsenal need a defensive midfielder, Arsenal need a centre back, Arsenal need a goal scoring striker?
All of that I understand because Wenger is a very stubborn man. He believes in his ways, which is one of his biggest weaknesses.
But in 8 years, surely, all these scouts that have found massive players over the years.
Even Conte. Wenger could have signed Conte, but he didn't. He could have signed Kylian Mbappe, who's at Monaco now, banging in goals, but he didn't sign him. There's actually a list of players that Wenger could have signed. You can actually make a whole starting 11 of world-class players in every position of players Wenger could have signed, but for whatever reason, he didn't.
So what annoys me is several seasons ago you had the opportunity to buy Luis Suarez, and this whole ridiculous farce of 40 million and a pound. Just make it 41 million. Just make it at least a generous offer. But the pound was just insulting.
The guy who did that, he got sacked.
No, because again with that's false information. They were told that he had a release clause of 40 million. If you trigger it by a pound, the club has to accept it. So it was a clever move financially.
Yeah. Oh, cleverly mastered, but I just think it's insulting.
The climate that will play in as well.
Even if they just done 45, just to show a bit of respect. I mean, let's face it, no one really respects Liverpool, but you can't say it outright like on a podcast or in the transfer window. Oh dear. But so...
Let's be honest, we all knew that this 40 million £1, that £1 was Marouane Chamakh.
Moving swiftly on from Marouane Chamakh, let's talk now more. We've spoken a lot about Arsenal. Let's talk more about Chelsea. The difference between last year and this year. Now let's move on. Let's just talk first to a Chelsea fan. The difference. Antonio Conte. Wow, great manager. I really like him.
I love the fact he's basically a Looney Tune on the sidelines. He's so animated. I don't think I've ever seen him sit down. He is constantly barking orders. He's like a subpar cheerleader, motivating the team. I've got to be honest, I watched a lot of the pre-season games for Chelsea, and I wasn't impressed. We kept to the same 4-2-3-1 formation, and it was crap. The striker was always isolated. It was so rigid, and people kept saying, "Oh, it's for beautiful football reasons." You know, sod that. I want to see some goals flying in. And now don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of 3 at the back, but you cannot deny the results have gone Chelsea's way.
It's worked, hasn't it?
I'm not a big fan of Cahill. David Luiz coming back was a huge risk, but the pair of them teaming up with good old Dave at the back is just phenomenal. But as I think everyone here can agree, that the 2 surprise packages right now is the capturing of N'Golo Kante, who has just been the player of the year and has, for good reason, he has been the best player. He will not lose that ball, and if he does, he'll win it back. But for me, the second best player for Chelsea has got to be the resurgence of Victor Moses.
Oh yeah,
Victor.
Oh, definitely.
He went to Liverpool, Stoke, and West Ham on loan and did nothing. What happened?
I think it's just generally off the back of that. I was saying this, it's a resurgence of attacking fullbacks.
Yes, it's the same thing that's happening with Chamberlain. Chamberlain is literally what Moses did the whole season. Give him a new position.
But they're not fullbacks, they're wingbacks.
Yeah, wingbacks. Yeah.
Fullbacks, wingbacks, whatever they are, it's these attacking backs that play at the back.
You'd like to think with Ashley Cole back in his prime in this sort of formation would have flourished. He would have scored so many goals or got so many assists. He would have been even better than we remember him as. I mean,
but do you think that's purely because of those 3 defenders, and then you've got literally just two defensive midfielders that will just sit there in front of that back 3?
Yes.
So that allows for Chelsea, Costa, Hazard, Pedro, Alonso, Moses to flourish forwards.
It does, and I mean the way you look at it, all the teams who are up there, a lot of the teams who are up there in the top 4 are doing that at the moment, and they're all doing it with defensive midfielders that you can't get past. Kante, Wanyama, don't just come out and say that, but he's a wall. There are walls of players. I can't even think of any more, but I'll just say them two because
Herrera. Stats alone say that he's one of the better midfielders in the Premier League.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
We have to go back to the Ashley Cole situation. Said would he have excelled as a wing? It's like a close fashion. Back in his playing days, it was 4 at the back, 4-4-2. The fashion these days, 3 at the back. How long will that last for? Next season it could be a new fashion.
Well, I don't know, because you think the England manager would want to play 3 at the back the way it's working with English players that are doing it, but he won't.
Okay,
He'll play 4.
I've got a question for everyone around the table, okay? So I've been thinking about this for a while now. Are certain managers trend setters? And what I mean by that is, and I hate to use Chelsea for both examples, but in recent years these are the examples I'm thinking of. So a couple of years ago, under Mourinho, we switched to a 4-2-3-1, and within a month, we're talking 75% of the teams in the league were using this formation. Fast forward to this season, we switched to a 3-5-3, shall I say? Yeah, 3-5-3, and suddenly teams like Everton tried it against us like a week later, and we absolutely destroyed them. So surely managers should have a backbone, say, this is my team, this is the formation I know they can play in. Or are the board saying, oh, Chelsea's top of the league, they've done this, you've now got to do it or else?
You have to go back to the time when Chelsea played West Ham in the league, and Mourinho came out and went, West Ham parked the bus. After that onwards, Chelsea started parking the bus because they saw the way West Ham were playing. And if I'm correct, that season West Ham finished in a quite good position. Was this under Sam Allardyce? If I'm correct.
Yep.
Since then, let's be honest, Man United have parked the bus.
Liverpool at times.
Liverpool and
Chelsea won the Champions League park in the bus.
Oh yes, we did.
Can I just say, to your point, as a trendsetter, I personally don't think Chelsea are, purely because if you look at the bottom half of the teams over a lot of years now, even the Steve Bruce side plays 3 at the back.
Yeah.
That's why I say
a lot of those
75%.
bottom teams.
Sorry.
No, even before Chelsea were playing it, because to have 5 at the back, it's very difficult to get past. Chelsea have perfected it, and now a lot more higher profile teams are now playing this system.
But Juve have been playing 3 at the back since whenever they came back up, so it's nothing new. I think it's an Italian thing that's just come to England, and everyone's like, it's amazing. Even if you look at Pep Guardiola, when he did the 4-3-3, there have been managers playing 4-3-3 before him, but he just did it the right way, that worked, and then we adopted it. So it's not really Chelsea setting trends or managers setting trends.
Forgive me, I didn't mean Chelsea specifically. I'm talking even when Man United were doing the classic 4-4-2 formation, the diamond. Exactly. Then teams try to emulate. I'm saying the most successful managers end up being trendsetters. And what I want to know is, are the managers spineless and gutless, and they're being told by their bosses?
Yeah, but then sometimes it's what's working. Because that's like 4-3-3. Back then, when Barcelona were dominating everything, that's the formation that worked.
And let me just come out.
Now, Juve have been using the 3 at the back, and that's worked for them. And now it's been brought over here, and that's the thing that's working.
And what you got to think of, Juventus, like for instance, Champions League football, they've only conceded 2-3 goals.
Exactly.
That's got them to the final.
In the Champions League.
One, I'm pretty sure it was they conceded 1 last night, so it's 3 in total if I'm correct.
Oh, okay.
So you look at teams like Chelsea and Tottenham and that, and if I'm correct, they've probably got the best defence record in the Premier
Tottenham
League.
have got the best
Using
defence.
3 men in defence. I think the only team in the league in the last few seasons that had one of the best defences that have not used a 3-man defence is Southampton.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
My original point being is, about 2 weeks after we lost to Arsenal 3-0, we changed the 3 at the back, and then Everton tried. They didn't even do it previous week. They tried it against us. Yeah. We absolutely battered them, and then suddenly it's back to a 4 at the back.
Because even their players weren't used to playing.
Exactly, and that was my question to everyone. Like,
so you have to work the system in training.
There we go.
Of course you do. And I think the way you have to look at it is, for example, say I'm at work. And I'm not doing very well, and I look at someone and think, well, they're doing very well. What are they doing? I'm going to copy what they're doing, and it works.
So you are going to copy, yeah.
Of course you are, because you're thinking, I want to be successful. Yeah, I'm going to try this. They're being successful. Why don't I?
One thing is though, it's amazing. It raises to say, want to play 3-4-3 with this team now. It's going to work. But you need players.
Exactly. Yeah.
You do.
Yes.
You need the backs. You need the defensive midfielders that are going to sit there, and you need the players that are going to go forward capably.
This is why everyone loves the Premier League so much. They bring in interesting managers from around. They come in. You look at players like Moses that can excel. They change the formation for that type of player, and look at them. They're brilliant. Look at Cuadrado, for instance. Didn't work well at Chelsea.
Look at Juve.
But look at Juve. In the same position as Moses is doing now, he's been one of their best players. And I have to say, if it weren't for the fact that Cuadrado was keen on going back to Juventus, he would have been probably one of Chelsea's main players this season. Different managers bring different ideas to the Premier League. And I have to say, this season with Conte especially, he's come in with different ideas. He's made players, like, look at Alonso. He got relegated with Bolton. He played for Sunderland. You know, it's just a cheap Xavi Alonso, we thought. You know, but look at him. He's become the best left wing back in the Premier League.
And he has that much of a presence in that Chelsea team that when he missed that game against Man United, you could tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Conte, you know what he should do? He should bring Alberto Moreno to Chelsea. Make him a centre midfielder. Chaffy Gerrard.
Oh, then we want to win the league, alright? We're not bringing him in.
It'll make him one of the best centre midfielders. You look at Tottenham, what they've done with Gareth Bale. It was am I correct? Hayward that converted him from a left back to a left winger. He's now one of the best players in the world. He's now attacking right striker, if I'm correct, at Real Madrid.
Don't watch him.
For people at home, this is a bitter Spurs fan right now.
Not bitter. We'll have players that are better than him soon. It's fine. No, let's move on to. We've written down our best Arsenal and Chelsea teams. So let's start. Let's start with Phil.
Well, I'm obviously going with checking goal. Brilliant for both Chelsea and Arsenal over the years. Best goalie in the Premier League in the past era. Azpilicueta, Koscielny and David Luiz. I'm putting out Lord Koscielny because whenever he limped off at Arsenal last season, the defence fell apart. He's a true leader for the team. And David Luiz, Chelsea sold him for 50 million to Paris Saint-Germain. Came back 20 million cheaper. Well, he's worth double that now after his performances this season. And then for the midfield, you've got to go for Kante as the defensive midfielder. Helped Leicester win the league. Chelsea took that power from Leicester straight away. Look what happened to Leicester this season. Alonso Moses on the wide, with Hazard just ahead of him, with Sanchez, Pedro and Costa up front.
We'll take Grant.
Okay, I'm going to go for a 4-3-3, one of my favourite formations.
Old school.
Thank you. And I'm going to agree with Phil and go with Peter Cech at the back. Absolute beast in goal with hands the size of dinner plates. You've got to love him. My back four, I'm going to go with Hector Bellerin, David Luiz, Laurent Koscielny and Azpilicueta. I'm feeling that Bellerin and Dave can absolutely run the right down the flanks, and whenever David Luiz decides to, and I'm quoting Gary Neville here, run like a child on a PS2 game, when he goes on these runs about, Koscielny can hold the fort behind him. Now in front of them, I'm having Alonso to, when David Luiz runs past him, Alonso can filter back. Next to N'Golo Kante, Player of the Year. You cannot fault his work rate, and you've got to have him in your team. Accompanying them both in the midfield, I'm having Cesc Fabregas, the best passer of the ball out of both teams, without a question. My attacking three, and not many people are going to argue with me here, we have Willian, Hazard and Alexis Sanchez. The goals will be flying in.
Somebody doesn't like Diego Costa for some reason.
Yeah, weird. Ryan, yours?
Okay, very simple choice for me in goal. Thibaut Courtois.
Boo!
For me, even though he's a Chelsea player, second best goalie in the Premier League, only behind David De Gea. I'm pretty much using the Chelsea formation. Back three of Azpilicueta, one of the most underrated defenders in the Premier League, without question. Does an amazing job. David Luiz and Koscielny, solid centre halves. The two wing backs would be Ox. His resurgence in this new formation for Arsenal has been phenomenal, and Alonso, as Phil said earlier on, best left wing back in the league. Midfield, Kante. Won Leicester the league last season. Won Chelsea the league this season. And next to him, Mesut Ozil. 11 goals, 10 assists this season. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Front three, very, very obvious. Hazard, Sanchez, and the hated man, Diego Costa up front.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. And now I'm going to go for mine. So, I don't know what formation I'm going for here, but it works on Football Manager, so here we go. So, I've got Cech in goal. Because Cech, he's Cech. He's still an amazing goalkeeper.
He's like a bad bottle of wine.
Bet with age?
No.
No, bad bottle of wine.
It's been open way too long now. That's got to chuck it out.
He's still a great goalkeeper.
Let's be honest, if we all had our own way right now, we'd have Nicholas Bentner as our up front Arsenal guy. Lord Bentner. Alongside Shamak.
No, Lord Bentner and Vincent Janssen.
Oh, hell.
I have no one over Vincent Janssen. I've got a back three of Cahill, Koscielny and Louise. I've got wing backs, and I don't know if he's ever played at wing back, but I've got Dave as Piliqueta, but I'll try it, you know.
He has.
Okay, thank you, Phil. And then Moses, because the resurgence of Victor Moses, as we said before, amazing. And I've N'Golo Kante, as said before, everyone has N'Golo Kante. N'Golo Kante, you know, he lost his virginity and got it back. So, I would also have Xhaka, because I think he's got something about his game. He's got that aggressiveness about his game, and if he learnt to tackle, he would be incredible. I would then have a kind of two behind one striker in Hazard, Sanchez, and someone every team in the world needs in their team is Diego Costa, because he is a goal scorer. So there we are. I think that's probably the... Oh, Trev, did Trev do one?
Apparently.
Okay, Trev's one last, sorry.
Yeah, so like everyone else, except for Ryan, because he's special, I got Cech in goal.
That's because I prefer a keeper who can save goals, not who lets
He
in
does
their
save
goals in.
goals. The only thing Cech can't save is penalties. Like, for us, he can't save a penalty.
He couldn't catch a cold, but let's move on.
Right, back three, same to everyone else. Koscielny, Louise, but then I have Dave at the back, next to Louise and Koscielny. And then in the middle, I was going to have Xhaka and Matic, but then I realised Cesc is a better passer of the ball than Xhaka, and then Kante obviously next to him because he's more energy than Matic. And then the wing backs is Ox, who's come back, and then Moses as well, who's come back this season. And then the front three is same as everyone else: Hazard, Alexis, and Costa. Simple.
Well, let's hope it's a good game. So that about wraps it up. Thank you very much for listening. Please feel free to comment, like and subscribe. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for a combined Europa League and Champions League podcast.
Cheers, everyone.